Get some damage in here. Well, hello there. Today we're back on my Polearm only account for one special character. Well, okay, he's not that special, but in case you missed it from my last video where I talked about Chevrus, who's coming in a few weeks here, we ended up wishing for a second copy of Staff of Scarlet Sands in that video. And the surprise thing that we didn't get a second copy of Staff of Scarlet Sands, sadly, but the surprise thing we got was C6 Mika, who, you know, I was trying to get for a Physical Zhongli team back when Mika initially released, which was, I think, like 8 or 9 months ago. And me trying to get C6 Mika is why I currently have a guarantee for when we're wishing on the Raiden Chevrus banner in a little bit here. So anyways, we have C6 Mika. It's, you know, the constellation for him that makes him an actually relevant... Can you shut up? It's the constellation that makes him an actually relevant physical damage buffer because he gives 60% crit damage. Sweet. And the interesting thing with Physical Zhongli is that Polearms only is not really missing that much to make Physical Zhongli work. You would definitely not want Raiden instead of Fischl, but, you know, for the most part, this physical team is actually going to be like potentially a very relevant Physical Zhongli team. Is it going to be something I use very often in Abyss? I don't know. We'll find out. We'll see how good it is. We're going to spam a lot of normals. We're going to have a bunch of attack speed from both Mika's ability to buff attack speed. And then I also have C6 Yunjin, who buffs normal attack damage, of course, and then also buffs normal attack speed. So we're going to have, like, I think, a total of, like, 35% or something. What is your skill at? 23% attack speed, yeah. So we're going to have 35% normal attack speed damage bonus. Normal attack speed. And then, assuming, you know, you get, well, Mika's, the amount of damage bonus that Mika gives for physical damage bonuses depends on, like, how many enemies you're against and blah, 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 blah. But we're going to have 60% crit damage, at least for physical damage, and then, you know, buffing crit damage, buffing normal attack damage, and buffing physical damage a little bit, and then super conduct for Raiden off-field means we should actually see some decent Zhongli normal attack damage. Oh, and as far as, like, Zhongli's talent multipliers, like, they are potatoes, right? Like Zhongli's talent multipliers, ooh, look at 13.8%. But in case you are not familiar, there is some tech, and I'm not very confident this is going to be... Oh, it's level 80. Okay, we're gonna have to level up Crescent Pike here. I'm not confident this is actually better than, like, Staff of Homa or, you know, Jade Wing Spear or whatever, but there's some stuff we can abuse in the nature of specifically Crescent Pike. I'm pretty sure an R5 Crescent Pike is definitely better for Physical Zhongli than Staff of Homa or Jade Wing Spear. Unfortunately, the game has, you know, deigned to give me every single billet that is not a polearm billet, which, you know, I appreciate that. Crescent Pike works the same way as Yunjin's buff, wherein it looks at Zhongli's total attack, takes 20% of that, and adds that as a flat bonus to any normal and charge attack damage that Physical Zhongli deals. Those damage bonuses don't really care about your multipliers, and that 800 flat bonus is then multiplied by any physical damage bonus that Zhongli would have, since it's physical damage, and it's also multiplied then by any crit. So any flat damage bonuses don't care about the base multipliers, it's a flat bonus on top of the multiplier base damage. So the basic goal with Zhongli physical build is to abuse flat damage bonuses from the likes of Yunjin and Crescent Pike by giving him as much, of course, crit as possible, but then as much damage bonus as possible. And we will probably test, though, to see if, like, Staff of Homa or Jade Wing Spear is better than an R1 Crescent Pike, even though I'm fairly confident an R5 Crescent Pike is definitely better. I gotta figure out how to reconfigure Zhongli's build, though, so this is gonna take me a second, but well, yeah, and then we'll figure out what we're gonna do. I have a couple different options for doing a physical build on him. Raiden, we're gonna put on tenacity, I think. Mika, for what it's worth, is on Noblesse. You know, we want to give some bonus attack to Zhongli. Yunjin is on 2 Husk, 2 Energy Recharge, 2 Emblem. For Raiden, I think she's going to just steal Zhongli's existing artifacts. I unfortunately only have an HP timepiece and tenacity. I do have this very good goblet to put on off-field Raiden. Okay, that's a little bit high in the crit rate field. Oh yeah, she's on Staff of Scarlet Sands. You know what, for funsies, let's give Raiden Staff of Homa. But 70% crit rate, 180 crit damage, 150 recharge, doesn't really matter. If all things were equivalent, I believe the best artifacts I could put on Zhongli would be Shimenao's Reminiscence, because we don't really care about Zhongli's burst, right? So the 4-piece bonus giving 50% damage bonus for normal charge attacks is quite strong. Oh, sadly, the best physical goblet I have is this Pale Flame Goblet, which I got forever ago on Polearms only, like near the very beginning of this account. And I have definitely leveled up plenty of other physical goblets in the past, but none of them rolled better than this, so this is what we're using. I know it's sad, but we'll use that. Shimenawa's Circlet, pretty good one. Alright, so we're on 4-piece Shimenawas with Crescent Pike. The attack will be a little bit higher, of course, once we level Crescent Pike to max. And that's less crit than I was hoping for, to be completely honest. It's not... I think my preference is definitely, generally speaking, to definitely stay over 70% crit rate. I mean, it's hard to do, to be clear, with a non-crit weapon, of course, but it's technically fairly... This is a good balanced ratio, but this is not going to give the satisfying numbers I'm kind of hoping for, I think. If I give him a crit damage circlet, he goes to 45... Okay, 45% crit rate is probably not ideal. I totally forgot I had this. I got this in the past at like the same time that I got the physical goblin on Zhongli. I got this absolutely cracked crit damage circlet on Pale Flame. So I wonder if I can use the goblet as like an onset goblet, right? And then use this circlet and then do 2-piece combos, which means I'd be losing functionally 25% damage bonus in exchange for maybe some better crit ratio. I think that might actually be a good trade-off. Because then I could probably do a better timepiece than this piece. So we're on 2-piece attack, 2-piece Pale Flame, 56% crit rate, 171 crit damage. So functionally, by switching from 4-piece Shimenawa to 2-piece, we lost about 8% crit rate, but gained some Osmanthus wine. So we lost 10% crit rate. We gained like 30-some percent, 40% crit damage, I think. And lost a little bit of damage bonus. I think this is actually maybe the ideal build. This is not an ideal amount of crit rate, to be clear. But this will let me see some more satisfying higher numbers, I think, than the 4-piece Shimenawas that I had available. Another option, of course, would be just switching to Jade Spear, and wow, blam, look at that. The crit ratio suddenly looks really nice. But we're going to try Crescent Pike first, because I'm more interested in trying to abuse the flat damage bonus, and we'll see how it goes. What do I have for materials? Oh, I already have these. Okay, I must have, in the past, figured I would level this up to 90, and then I just never farmed for the things. We'll have to go farm some Patui agents, it looks like. Gloria's busy. What the heck? Oh, that's funny. I have Long Distance Love and Whispers in the Wind, both like like I thought these daily quests chained together. I didn't know it was possible to have them on the same day. That's really weird. Oh, something I think I forgot to mention. Zhongli's shielding is going to be maybe more relevant than you might think. So Geo Resonance is going to give us increased shield strength as long as we're using Yunjin, of course. And then on top of that, because we have Raiden on 4-piece Tenacity, 4-piece Tenacity is also going to give extra shield strength. Even Mika's healing plus Zhongli's shielding should make this team very comfortable, is my guess. Despite having Zhongli at 21,230 HP. You know, I wonder what Glory's gonna think, being that, you know, we just sent some dandelion seeds to the wind, and then we're leaving for 5 minutes after talking to her, and then we're talking to her idiot of a boyfriend who just camps outside the city because he's a twat. And we're gonna be like, hey, your boyfriend just gave us this letter. It's just gonna be like, what do you mean? What? How did Godwin just give you a letter? You just talked to me 5 minutes ago. I wonder if Glory's gonna clue in. Maybe this is how Godwin and Glory break up, because of a weird coincidence of him accidentally asking the Traveler to do something for her on the same day that the Traveler did something for Glory. Hey Glory, your twat of a boyfriend just gave me a letter. Okay, she doesn't seem to be cluing in. Sad. Do you sense anything wrong here, Glory? The fact that we coincidentally got a letter given to us literally minutes after I just did something for you? Like, do you think I went all the way across the world to get that letter? No, I guess where I got it. Figure it out. Playing a stupid game of telephone for these two idiots. Well, not these two idiots. It's mostly this idiot. Let's test the full sequence here. Do Raiden. Of course, we have a butthole, but whatever. And okay, got the shield. Ooh, all the 16k. Let's go. By the way, in case you're interested in more, I forgot these dudes go invisible. What buttholes? Okay. In case you're interested in more Zhongli shenanigans, I tend to. I can't speak while combating. Ooh, look at that. Good drops. I plan to do a Hydro Zhongli build soon, because I realized in planning for this video that I could do a potentially quite strong Hydro Zhongli with a pretty okay Hydro Goblet, to say the least, and use Candace's Infusion to make Zhongli the best Hydro applier on Polearms only. So if you wanna see that video, subscribe. That'll come eventually. It is satisfying how quickly the enemies are getting shredded as soon as I like start doing a normal attack sequence. Like the problem of not having Fischl is really the main reason why this team might struggle in Abyss in particular. Nice 12k plunge there. Where'd you go? Bro, stop moving. Oh, it's so satisfying seeing like the even without Yunjin's buff up, right? The twirly whirly is doing like 10,000 damage very quickly, and the sounds are the sound effects is great. I don't know if I care for, you know, Zhongli's noises himself, but you know, other than that, the sounds are great. Satisfaction in playstyle doesn't change, of course, how a team performs, but I do genuinely think if a team, you know, feels satisfying for whatever reason to you, then they are more worth playing over other teams. Like I absolutely hate national team variations, generally speaking, because I think they feel craptastic to play, and you know, I would rather play a worse team 100 times over than play national. Oh, I think I can run from debt. In the face of the one who created money in Tevat, I'm pretty sure debt is nothing more than just a sad little social construct. I mean, technically it's a sad little social construct in general, but it's a social construct that has a lot of power over people's lives. But for Mr. Zhongli, in the context of Tevat, I think debt means literally nothing to him. Blam, get this to level 90. Hey, look at that. We're at 1797 attack, which is nice. So, yeah, let's go test against Mr. Masanori. We'll figure out if Jade Spear feels noticeably better. Obviously, Jade Spear is going to be better for, you know, critting more consistently. But I just want to compare, like, the damage numbers we see. Alright, we're going to set it to midnight for the higher health version of Masanori. Alright, sir, let's see how this goes. Blam. Do this first. Do that. Do this. This, no fab, that's fine. Blam, let's get some damage in here. And then after the third normal attack sequence, we should, yeah, you could see the Yunjin buff fell away, but in single target, that's, I think, around the same time that we're gonna lose, like, it's just the time where we repeat the rotation anyway, so I think it's fine. Alright, there we go. A little bit of energy issues on her, but it's fine. Not bad. Not bad at all, in my opinion. I've made worse teams. Alright, switch to Jade Spear. Blam. Changing nothing else, just Jade Spear. So we're just trying to see the comparison and figure out what weapon we're gonna do. Then we'll check 4-piece Shimenawas as well versus our weird combo here. That, this, and this. Hey, look at that. Okay. Alright, now we gotta wait for him to do his next phase. So far, it feels very similar. Can you go to your next phase, dude? Okay, do this. Do that. Do that. Do this. Didn't get a fab trigger. Oh well, it's fine. It sure seems that we're critting more consistently, which, you know, go figure with 80% crit rate versus 54. Alright, that was not bad. I go figure, Jade Spear is also a capable weapon. I am gonna go look at the footage to see like what the actual like crit, the highest number I saw was. I'm pretty sure I saw higher numbers from Crescent Pike, which is not that surprising to me, but I'm gonna go double check that. Alrighty, I'm back from looking at the footage. So, I was basically correct in what I thought. Crescent Pike does get a bit more damage, like the damage number we're seeing is higher, but then Jade Spear is more consistency because higher crit rate, duh, but less damage. And this is to say, like, basically what I've said before in the video, where, like, having refinements on Crescent Pike, if I had an R5 Crescent Pike, which I wish I, you know, got refinements for that in hindsight than refinements for Catane, but oh well. The point is like, refinements on Crescent Pike, I think, would make it just objectively better than Jade Wing Spear. The thing we have right now is, numbers-wise, the highest damage I saw from Crescent Pike was about 24,000, or I think it was a little bit under 25,000, and the highest damage from Jade Spear was 22,000. And that's a 10% difference, right? And or if you compare, or maybe even a better comparison between the two would be the little tiny hits from Zhongli's like spinning attack. Jade Spear got about 15k, and Crescent Pike got about 17,000. So that means for the small hits, Crescent Pike compared to Jade Spear from Zhongli's spinning attack is giving 13% more damage, which seems like a lot, but considering the fact that, you know, Jade Spear is giving us 22% crit rate, which is making us crit a lot more consistently, which brings up our average damage a lot, I am fairly confident in our situation right now, Jade Spear is better. Alright, so with Jade Spear, with 4-piece Shimenaos, we're looking at 66.7% crit rate. It's a little bit less than I prefer, but I think it's fine. 175 crit damage. I'm switching right into Fab so we can get more energy back on Yunjin more consistently. Alright, Masanori one more time, this time with Shimenaos and Jade Spear. Alright, let's see. Alright, yeah, I think I like 4-piece Shimenaos with Jade Spear better. Ooh, look at that, exactly at 20,000. I mean, how can I not stick with it then? I'm gonna farm a little bit of Zhongli's talent domain, because we can actually farm them today, the damn recording. Just so we can get Zhongli's talent up to, I don't know, probably level 6 or 7. This should help me decide if I want to use the lower crit rate Shimenawa build, or the higher crit rate 2-piece build anyways, before we head over to Abyss. Blam, blam. Oh, I didn't Zhongli shield before then, okay. And multiple enemy situations, so you can see, you know, we dealt with things pretty quickly there. We run out of Yunjin's buff a lot faster, so you can see the damage dropped like a cliff. Well, not really like a cliff. It's not like we're doing no damage, but damage dropped meaningfully there after Yunjin's quota limit ran out, and that primarily is going to happen when there's multiple enemies like there was there. Alright, we're going to see, now we're on 2-piece, we're going to see how that compares in this domain here. We got Fab triggers for once. Die, please. You know, this domain makes me think that, you know, that another benefit of having Rosaria, other than the fact that, you know, Yunjin's buff runs out in AoE situations, is that Rosaria... That felt about the same, by the way. Obviously, the timer didn't mean anything because I spent time in the artifact screen. But Rosaria... Seriously? 3 minimum drops in a row? Rosaria, of course, applies off-field cryo, so when new waves spawn, like the pyro dudes spawn after the hilly shrills are dealt with, right? Mika's not applying any off-field cryo, so therefore Superconduct is lost on the new wave. Let's not forget to Yunjin. And therefore I'm losing potentially a meaningful amount of my physical damage that I could be getting because I can't trigger Superconduct on these without switching off of Zhongli. And I could just switch off of Zhongli potentially. But Mika's skill is about 10 years long as far as cooldown goes, so it doesn't really make that much sense. I think, okay, the higher crit rate I think does feel better. Okay, it's hard to like line up properly to make sure we hit everything. Alright. Very nice. I don't know if it's like the higher crit rate that's going to make a difference there now that I think about it, and more just me getting used to the spawning and positioning myself better and killing them. Okay, basically minimum drops every time. Screw you, game. Alright, I'm going to do the domain one more time with 4-piece Shimenawas. I configured him to have 68% crit rate, 170 crit damage on 4-piece Shimas. And we'll see how it goes, because I think 4-piece Shimenawas should clear this domain faster. I don't think 7% crit rate is worth losing. 7% crit rate and a tiny more crit damage is not worth losing the 25% extra damage bonus from 4-piece Shimenawas. Don't use that. You. Yes, we got Fav. You stand near, please. Thank you. I wonder if the main issue I'm noticing with 4-piece Shimenawas is the fact that the damage bonus only lasts for 10 seconds. That might be the issue I'm having here. Oh, you know what? It's definitely the issue I'm having here, because normally I'm opening the rotation with Zhongli's skill with 4. Okay. And the reason I'm opening with Zhongli's skill is just because, like, hey, you know, I get the protection, make sure I don't get interrupted while I'm doing, you know, my other characters' things like I just did there. That's why I was doing Zhongli's skill first, but obviously I don't want to do Zhongli's skill first if it's going to waste uptime on Shimenawa buff. Okay, that's probably the issue I was having. Because I was because I was doing a skill first, I functionally only had, yep, there we go. I functionally only had the Shimenawa buff up for, right, if I do skill, and then I do you, that's like 5 seconds, right? And then I switch back to Zhongli. I've only got 5 seconds of Shimenawa buff left, and that's why it felt crappy. Okay, I figured it out. Alright, we're gonna stick with this then, because I think this 4-piece Shimenawa is a nice balance here. Blam, there you go. His talent's at level 8. No one can complain that I didn't level his talents. Okie dokie, we're gonna go to the Abyss now. So, the problem I see with the Abyss, with Physical Zhongli, is not necessarily a problem with Physical Zhongli. Like, doing Physical Zhongli on the second side, I think might actually be capable enough as far as damage. The problem is I'm on a Polearm only account, and therefore I don't really have the greatest teams for... Like, it took me 12 hours to first 36 star this Abyss. It only took me a few hours after I figured out how to kind of deal with it, right? So, I can absolutely deal with this Abyss on this account. But the way I dealt with this Abyss was by putting Hyper Bloom with Raiden on the first side, and we really need Raiden for Physical Zhongli, for Super Conduct. So, I basically don't have a good team for the first side. Which is to say, I'm not going to go for 36 starring in this video because it's just like not a realistic possibility in this current Abyss cycle. I think I'll just run a variation of Mono Pyro Hu Tao with Toma. Normally I preferred, you know, Zhongli with Mono Pyro Hu Tao, but you know, it'll work. We'll be able to clear the first side, I think, with this team here. Alright, it definitely did not take me 20 freaking minutes to get through the first side of Abyss. It didn't take that long, to be clear, after I just gave up with trying to choose the energy recharge card and chose to have burst restore HP. But yeah, it turns out Mono Pyro is not ideal for that boss. Where are you? I love this Abyss. This is just like really the most fun Abyss in general to deal with, the best boss mechanics I think they've ever had, and yeah, that's my opinion on this Abyss. I mean, the damage is good after we get things going here. It's just apparently we don't get to actually engage with this boss's mechanics despite using Electro. Like, it just doesn't go out of its invisibility phase. I don't get it. Now it did? Oh, okay. I don't understand this boss. I think this boss is one of the most jank bosses in the game. Like, I know, like, yeah, you're supposed to use Aggravate. I didn't mean to switch to you. You're supposed to use Aggravate, yeah, blah, blah, blah. But, like, normally just Electro does work for it, and I'm not sure why it didn't work there. Whatever. I forgot to put his shield up, so we're losing some damage from that, but... Please die before you go invisible again. There we go. Okay, well... I'll probably include a short clip from that boss. Ignore the fact that we 1-starred. That was, I mean... To be clear, that attempt there was really bad. We couldn't engage with the boss's mechanic despite having Electro. I'm not sure exactly why. Okay, and we're at a chamber that's less cringe. Yeah. Just trying to focus a little bit. We might actually be able to 3-star this chamber, despite the not optimal. Okay, now I'm talking, not paying attention. Okay, well, I think we're not gonna 3-star because I didn't pay attention enough. I mean, if I had better teams, like, if this wasn't a polearm only account, I do genuinely think Zhongli's damage would be enough here. Despite the fact that, you know, we're using Raiden as our off-field damage dealer instead of Fischl. Like, if this was a normal account where we had a Fischl available, Fischl would be contributing, like, significant damage on top of Zhongli's damage, right? So, instead of what we're functionally doing here, which is just like a hyper carry Zhongli situation. Not to mention a normal account would have better teams for the first side than I have available. Bro, how? Bro. Okay. Solidify. You know what? I am just not gonna continue with this abyss. I mean, the Coppelius realistically is not going to be very... Well, I don't know. It'd be interesting to test Coppelius with this Physical Zhongli team because Coppelius' main question is like, when it comes to trying to do melee against Coppelius, is can you survive? I don't know. They probably would get through Zhongli's shield very quick, and I highly doubt Mika's healing is going to be enough to not let me just like die in 1 or 2 hits. So anyway, this abyss sucks for this account, and it's really bad for a Physical Zhongli team, but I think at least the chicken showed that, you know, as long as I was dealing damage competently, it worked better than I thought it would. It's not the worst team I could make on Polearms only. Where this is like the most hyper carry team I could probably imagine on this account because, you know, Yunjin contributes nothing for her own personal damage. Mika does nothing for his own personal damage. It's all just like buffing Zhongli, and Raiden is doing nothing unless I use her burst. So it's not a good team because I don't have Fischl basically. Physical Zhongli is actually one of the better physical damage characters you can do because of the existence of the likes of Crescent Pike, right? So hopefully I at least illustrated, you know, Crescent Pike is competitive with Jade Spear, even if I switched to Jade Spear because I had a better build going with Jade Spear and whatever. But I don't know. I might use Physical Zhongli in the future, but I'm more interested, I think, in testing out Hydro Zhongli with Candace shenanigans. So I don't think, you know, C6 Mika really is doing anything for Polearms only, but at the very least, it's a fun new option if I ever feel like doing it again. So, anyways, subscribe if you want to see Hydro Zhongli shenanigans in the future, or let me know if I'm just stupid and I played bad and whatever, but yeah.